Hello, witch folk. Welcome to our coven.
We're angels on broomsticks. We're a mother-daughter duo.
And we love the makeup.
I'm Kristen.
And I'm Evangeline. Today's one of our chatty videos. We're going to be going through all our favorite neutral palettes. Mostly favorite. A couple things to mention, but I mean, I did bring all my neutral palettes over.
I have some neutral palettes, though, that I didn't count, but I think these are the top. Like, if you're looking for a neutral palette, just watch this video. We have all kinds. We have, like, indie. We have stuff from Sephora.
Yes.
We just don't have drugstore.
We'll give some also pros and cons, too. I mean, I don't think of the drugstore as, like, palette shopping.
Me neither.
Palettes? Oh,
just
drugstore?
eyebrows.
We're Canadian, though, by the way. We don't have all the good drugstore stuff anyway, so that's our excuse.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's get started. We are going to start off first with an iconic branding, which is the Naked palettes from Urban Decay.
You know what? I've never had an Urban Decay Naked palette. I do have an Urban Decay palette.
Yeah.
It's a weird round
neutral.
one. No,
Naked.
I don't have a Naked. I always wanted one, but I never got one because I used to be a neutral hoe. And then I became colorful, and now I'm back to neutral.
Wow, because, the Nakeds was my first foray into luxury makeup, I got gifted it for Christmas. I had 2 of the original ones, and I think I do still have one. I had the square one, maybe number 3, and I think I had number 2. I loved them. They were great.
No, they're great starters. So you got the Wild West one.
Wild West, so neutral with a pop of blue. But I remember when this one came out, was it last year, 2021?
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Know. You bought this for me.
It was at the drugstore, FYI.
Oh, yeah. This was at the drugstore.
Yeah.
There you go, drugstore.
I use my points.
But, I mean, you can see a lot of neutrals within it. You've got sort of like more neutral shimmers, so your gold and your silver. What I really like about this palette is just the warmth you can really play with this, and the fact that you can integrate that pop of blue. I think for people who aren't really into color, throwing in those little bits of color is helpful to
I agree. That's what I always liked about that concept. I don't think it should go away. I think it's a good concept, getting people more into other colors.
Yeah, neutral with a pop of whatever.
Yeah.
It's blue a lot of the time for sure. I mean, I feel like people started to not be into Urban Decay for a bit and feeling like they were beating the dead horse with the Naked theme. But I like it. I like the concept. I've always liked their formula. I find it creamy, buildable, no problems with it. I like their shimmers. I don't recall much fallout or anything. I don't have anything bad to say about this one, to be honest. I do like it. I like when you have these sort of little bit of, gradient within here. You got similar tones, so you can really, create that build. I feel like that's why the Naked palettes sort of became popular when they did, because people were starting to get into what's a transition shade, what's your this shade, because it was when YouTube makeup started, and now everyone was I can do good makeup for myself. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this. And the packaging is cute. See?
Cute.
Good. Where do we want to go next?
I think this is the big one from ColourPop Stone Cold Fox. This is a cool tone neutral.
Now, we've used this, I think in one video we used the Cleona shadows with it for a base. You know what? I think this palette, I don't turn to it. This palette is not something I bust out regularly. I think you could see some messiness here because it's the kind of palette I want to spray some Fix Plus and create an eyeliner, and I'm not too fussed about messing it up, which is nice to have a palette like that. But to be honest, I do find this palette, even though it's neutral, is a bit overwhelming with its shade range, and maybe because it's cool tone, I don't turn to it.
Oh, you don't like a cool tone? I prefer a cool tone.
You do?
Yes.
I think you lean a little bit more cool somehow.
I'm cold. I run hot, but I'm cold. It's funny because we're gonna go to the Natasha Denona, 2 of her neutral palettes, and this one was comparable to the Glam palette. So if you were too poor to buy I shouldn't say that. If
Well,
you were
I'm poor.
challenged to buy the Natasha Denona, this one was a good option.
Yeah.
Which I think is true.
I mean, now that you make that comparison, we have the Glam palette. I should like lift both up
Yes.
side by side.
Do you want to see? Is it exactly the same?
No.
Oh.
I mean, you just have sort of these shimmer, some of the shimmer tones seem similar, and you have sort of some shades that lean a bit more warm.
But this one's smaller.
This one is way more cool toned, though, to be sure, in my opinion. The problem I find with this is just like, sometimes you know when you think a shade is going to be something, and then you put it on, and you're like, oh, that is not the color I thought it was going to be. Sometimes with this, like, I think, oh, this will be a nice transition shade. I'm like, oh, that's way more different pigment than I thought.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's just too much of a gradient in this one, if that makes any sense. Too much, like, is it this tone I want or this tone I want, you know? So I just feel like this might be better if it was a little bit more pared down.
Yeah.
That's my opinion on it. I think mega palettes in general just aren't
Your thing. You don't like a mega palette. Let's go to another mega palette.
Okay.
The Dollhouse. Like, this is introduced as the neutral palette because they came up with a couple of other really fun colored ones. But this isn't that neutral because it's got color in it, but it's as neutral as we're going to get from this brand. And it's huge.
It's almost like if you could say neutral colors, you know? It's like a colored neutral.
I like the darkness. Like, you get like a dark purple and a dark plum and like a blackened. There's no black per se. This is a pretty beautiful palette, I think. I have no regrets with this. We have more. We have others, which I think you should talk about the Vieve.
Okay.
Which is a stunner.
Yes. So Vieve, okay, this is my all-time favorite neutral palette ever. I've talked about it before. We've done videos with this. It's just my favorite for several reasons. Where do I even begin? Like, it's just beautiful colors together. I like that this is a warmer neutral palette. So if you're someone who likes warmth, this is for you. I've done so many just like different kinds of looks with this. Like the other day I just used this orange and did like an orange look. So it's like you have those two sort of shades that bring color into it. But again, much more approachable than for someone who's maybe a bit nervous, like a blue or a green or whatever. These warm tones are such a great place to start playing with something a little bit more fun, a little bit more jazzy. The shimmers are really cool. These shimmers are like I don't even know what to call it, like a bronzy almost, like chonke, a little bit like a melt shimmer.
Chonke.
And I like having like, you go from white, pure white, to pure black, which is nice. I love like to brighten colors with the white. And look at the pan size. Can we, a smaller one?
Yeah.
Here.
This is this is the Urban Decay. They're skinny little.
Yeah,
animals.
look how big. I mean, will I ever hit pan on them?
No!
Well, maybe, because I actually use this palette a lot. Oh, and I just love, like, you can do this, like, totally flip it over,
nice.
which is just like one of those little details, like, it's an ease of use, you know, you got it on your lap, and you're just like,
That is one thing I'm jealous of that palette.
Look how indented.
We have to compare it to the Biba palette, which is coming. Put a pin on that one, and we'll look at the Biba palette.
Do a little comparison.
Yes.
Yeah, I would not sleep on this one, and it's, you know, I'd say it's an indie brand.
Yeah, of course.
She's a independent woman. I don't know. She's not Sephora.
She doesn't need no man. She has one, I think.
Yeah, she does. She's married. Genevieve. Scottish.
We love her.
She's cute.
And then, so you've got the
Hindash.
Which is like a interesting palette.
Very interesting. Speaking of, pop of color, I feel like that's a common theme. You do have these pinks and corally reds.
Which could be used for anything.
Yeah. The whole point of this palette was that it was more like a face palette. Like you can highlight even with these lighter shades. The reason this is now becoming a fast favorite is because it's almost doing what this palette wants to do in such a more concise way, if that makes sense. Because you know when you're like working with a palette, you're like, oh, I just want this to be like a little bit more cool, or like a little darker. This is literally meant for that. It's like you just have these perfect in-betweens and you can just like really dibble-dabble.
Dip-dap-doop-dap.
Dibble-dabble.
Yes. Do you think it's beginner friendly though?
Yes, I do actually. Except for maybe, you know, this orangey red.
Which I think is a blush.
A blush, yeah. I keep forgetting to try and use this as a blush. Do you think it's beginner friendly?
Yeah, I think it works intuitively, so.
Yes.
And it's all matte, which is great.
Yeah.
Speaking of all matte, can we move on? We're going to go to the Makeup by Mario. Look how tiny and cute and concise. Now this is an all matte palette.
The Master Mattes.
What do you think of this? It's got a black, and it's kind of coolish here, but like it's all the browns you'll ever want, really.
Yeah, it's funny because when I just looked at that palette, I haven't like set eyes on it in a bit, but I thought Kim Kardashian.
Yeah,
I feel like those are Kim Kardashian-y tones.
That's fine. We're not anti the Kardashian. Kardashaholics Anonymous.
But Makeup by Mario, I found out, is Kim Kardashian's makeup
that's
artist.
why we love him, and he's really good at what he does.
It made me not like him as much, but anyway, I think you have sort of those richer neutrals in this.
I love this palette because I do like for the day, you know, just no shimmer, matte, one and done-ish type boop, you know?
How do you find the formula?
Very good. It's a very good formula.
I would think so.
Like makeup artists tend to make the best formulas, like Natasha Denona. We're going to go into the Natasha Denona in a second, but then there's the two melts, a cool tone and a warm tone. To me, instead, I would rather have this palette than what's coming up next, even though everyone hates this palette.
Okay, yeah, everyone hates this one.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
I have no clue. I love the neutrals here. Like, they're kind of strangely colored, which works on my skin tone.
Like, it is a more crumbly shimmer.
Yeah, the shimmers are crumbly, but that's so.
I think it throws people off. Like, there's a way to use those sometimes. Like,
We found we wet our brushes.
that was, yeah. If you want a wet brush technique, this is like
it.
a great palette for that. It
I
like
agree.
made the shimmers go, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the warm tone.
This is a good one too. Just, you know, when you're in the day, going to get yourself a pap smear.
You want to impress
And you don't want to make
doctor.
eye contact with the doctor.
You want to show off your fantastic eyeshadow. Here's the palette for you. I want to try this. This shimmer in particular looks like a really nice tone. Stout. I like the look of this. Yeah, very warm. Like, I wonder, just like looking at... See, like, there's just such a vast difference, though, even though these are all neutrals. Here's two warm tone neutral palettes. I feel like they're achieving very different things. All that to say, keep buying palettes. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, don't feel bad. Keep buying. So then we've got the Natasha Denona, finally, who is queen of neutrals in general. I can't get enough of Natasha Denona. Okay, so you got this Glam palette. Which is one of the smaller, more affordable ones. Those are, in Canada, they run expensive. I don't know what they cost. I can't remember.
I think they were around $70. Something Canadian.
In the States, I don't know what you cost.
55.
Yeah.
But I got this somewhat recently, and I've been turning to it a lot. The shimmers are nice. It's approachable. You know, it's like if the ColourPop decided to, you know, tone things back a little, make a bit of a smaller, more curated selection, it might look something more like this. I really like this, the lash line shade, just like as a deepener, because you don't get quite that harshness of black. Sometimes pure black to me is a little harsh for me. Really dark looks, I don't know if I like them on me. I like it. But yeah, I've been really liking this one. And the Natasha Denona formula really is something else.
And they have this one too, this smaller one.
Oh, yeah, we both have it.
Ayana. Yeah, and it's just a cool tone as well, which I think this is a great traveler.
Yes.
These are bigger panned, because you know, the Natasha Denona, you can pop them out. This one you can pop out, you can see the holes.
Yeah.
And you can rearrange and make your own palette, which is great.
Yeah.
But you can't do it with, this one is the Biba, This is the warm tone neutral one. I mean, obviously, they're different pan sizes, though. So, so this one
is there the same amount of shades, but that's
bigger. And more expensive. So this is the over, I don't know what it costs.
That's kind of annoying, though.
That's stupid.
Because
the little ones are the best.
Yeah.
Like, the most annoying thing was when she came out with the Tricom palette.
Yeah.
Which is a palette of like kind of wonky colors.
Yeah.
But it's huge. So it's expensive. Like over $150 Canadian.
I didn't realize that that's why it's just bigger pans.
Yeah, bigger pans.
That's dumb. Because no one like really, most people don't get to the whole pan.
Yeah.
But if they do, it's like one shade that they've turned to a lot, and that's why it's nice to replace it.
This is the palette I wanted to bring out the Vieve and do a comp. Because this is, I don't know how much that costs. But do you think they're similar? Or no?
In some ways. I think at one point we had done this comparison with ourselves when we were trying to compare the shade Buff. This one, which I find like the perfect sort of crease mustard but neutral shade. And I think there was something similar in this one, but it ended up being quite different. Maybe it was this one. If I bought that palette, I wouldn't be like, oh, this is like my Vieve palette.
Yeah.
I wouldn't feel that way. What do you think?
I want that palette.
Yeah. I think they're different. I think
yeah, I do too.
The energies and the
energies
vibes are different.
The pans are bigger in the Vieve, right? Yeah.
Yes.
The pans are fucking huge, man.
I don't think I've ever seen a pan this big. Which, again, speaking of wet brush technique, I've used like this black for liner a lot. So there's like a section that's like my wet brush. And the pans are so big, it's nice because like half of it can be that and half of it can be regular powder or whatever. That's what's nice about the big pan sizes. Yeah, I think that's it. These are our
neutrals that we're going to lately.
All the time.
We're not going to give up color. We're just going to you know, do some neutral looks.
It is nice to have these and then, yeah, you throw in some other palette color. I was thinking of doing something with the Natasha Denona Glam and then like a Kaleidos fun color shimmer. That's a plan for a look soon.
That's where you bring out your single collection. That's what I do. And I particularly like, for me, I like doing a base with a Mary Jane color. And then bringing out my multi-chrome collection. I think we need to do a look for you guys with some weight-based multi-chromes.
Yes.
Over like a neutral color.
Yeah. Let's do that. So yeah, we're done our And Just Like That series. So we're going to be doing more videos, sort of like this, chatty videos, makeup videos. We're thinking of doing a video where we do the same look and like compare it with our faces. So if any of you have any video requests, do let us know. Because it's always nice to hear what you'd like to hear. I know a couple of people want to see your whole palette collection.
Yes, we're going to do that because I've gotten organized here because I moved.
Yeah.
If you missed, I moved to a new space. And we're filming in it now because we have a table and we like it. And yeah, so
yeah, maybe we'll do that soon. It's going to be quite a long video, so we'll have to have some margaritas or something.
Yeah,
we do that one. So I think that's about it for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Stay witchy, stay bitchy. Have a good week. Bye, witches.